here we go, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Near Humanity. Oh, we're getting quite a lot of variety today. Near Humanity representing On-Side Gaming. It is the Tunitarian himself, Ryung. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the American Protoss player representing Matcherino Esports. It is Astrea. Again, Astrea had a pretty close series with Cure earlier today. Especially game number 2 was very chaotic, very back and forth. There were definitely moments where Astrea was kind of in the driver's seat, had his advantages, but alas, Cure was able to wrangle it away from him with the mass drop play. But Ryung is a very different kind of Terran player, we should say that. I feel like Ryung, he relies a lot more on his positional play, on his positioning, on his map awareness and map control as well. He's a bit of a slower player compared to some of these younger players like Clem or Bjorn. I mean, I say younger. Bjorn is he's not too young compared to Ryung, but you know what I mean. Some of these faster up-and-comers. But that doesn't mean Ryung is any less of a player, as he can still definitely take it to the best of them, just relying on other strengths instead. As we do have Astrea going for his probe scout across the map, confirming the Rax Expand setup here from Ryung. Just a single gas opener here from our Terran, and Ryung should be looking for that CC on the low ground. And Astrea at least confirms that. Across the map, likewise, Ryung also scouting his opponent, making sure that the pylons are back at home, that everything is on the up and up, there is no proxy, and that Astrea is playing standard. Which is important to note. Astrea, I feel like he's known as one of the best players, one of the best Protoss players out there that is willing to experiment and willing to, you know, kind of try his hand at these other weird, quirky, unorthodox builds, and sometimes he's able to make it work. That's why, it's why Astrea can be a really entertaining player to watch as well, and he can be really easy to get behind, just because he's, you know, so adventurous. Speaking of, Astrea is going for a Robo Opener. Something you don't see too often anymore. You know, typically it's a Twilight Council or a Stargate, but this time it's going to be a Robo. This should be for a Fast Robotics Bay to get into something like Disruptor Drops or Colossus, or Fast Colossus I should say. But I'm really interested if we throw down additional gateways and if we're hyper aggressive here with a Warp Prism. I should also say the Disruptor Drops are more of a PvZ thing, not so much against Terran. Oh, as we throw down a Stargate right after this. Okay, interesting. But yeah, with this you can rush into Fast Colossus. This used to be like really common back in the 3-Rax meta, just because the faster Colossus you got, the harder you would shut down 3-Raxes. There it is. There is that Prism on the way. With this Astrea, he can try to ferry a couple of Adepts into the main base and look for some economic damage. But yeah, this is really interesting out of Astrea. I'm excited. I'm curious. Where we go here. As the Stargate is now done, we're getting into Phoenix production. So we're going to be relying on the Phoenix for map control, as the Prism is scouted by the Hellion. Hellion, it dives in and it sees everything in the main, both the Phoenix being produced as well as the Robo. Very nicely done here by Ryung. Meanwhile, the Adepts are moving out. Because the Prism was scattered, Ryung should be getting in position as he's going for his own drop instead. He's going to be sending a drop across the map. Going to be getting his tank and his reinforcements here in the main. This Adept Harass has potential, if only it wasn't scouted, right? It's like Ryung, he saw it coming ahead of time. He's getting ready. There's the Fast Robotics Bay for Colossus. Again, because of the Robo Opener, it makes sense to take into that as quickly as he could. As we get 2 SCVs, but with this Viking, oh, the Prism is going to go down. Can we focus down a couple more SCVs? It looks like we barely can. 5 SCVs at the same time we drop across the map, but there are Phoenixes waiting for said drop. Ryung, not quite finding a lot of damage. In the end, he loses 5 SCVs for a Warp Prism, 2 Adepts, a Stalker, and he even got a Phoenix. Oh my god. As Ryung is even dragging the Phoenixes through the Marines, getting a lot of hull damage on them. Very nice moves here out of Ryung. Doesn't kill any additional Phoenixes, but a lot of damage was dealt. As he's moving out across the map, we can see Astrea trying to take that third base over on the right-hand side. But Ryung is getting in position, he's looking to deny it. And because these Phoenixes are so low, I don't think Astrea can stop him. He just doesn't have a lot on the ground. Yeah, the tanks are getting in position, the Vikings are zoning the Phoenixes away. Third base is cancelled. And Ryung, if he wanted to, he could try to rotate around and deny the third again, but no, he's pushing on forward. He's trying to break into the natural. Oh my god. A pretty ambitious move. He takes down the pylon, but the Colossus is about to revive. And with that Colossus, Astrea should be able to hold on to his natural. Behind this, Ryung is getting his third on location. Okay, and thankfully Ryung doesn't overextend. He doesn't overstay his welcome. He backs off, gets a pylon, and gets out of there. Oh. And the Phoenixes are actually finding quite a lot of damage here. They take down an SCV, a couple of Marines. Can they get the tank? Oh! It looks like they barely will get the tank as well. Very nicely done here by Astrea. Making up for some of his earlier losses. It's definitely damage that he needed to find. As he gets his third up and running, extended thermal lenses on the way. Again, this is just a really quirky way to get into Phoenix Colossus, going for the Robo first. The opener didn't work too well for Astrea, unfortunately. I would say that the Prism, like losing the Prism, kind of put him behind initially. That's why Astrea couldn't hold on to his third. But now he's stabilizing. Now he's got a good Phoenix count out. He's got his Colossus. Third one is on the way. Forges as well. And behind this Astrea, he's just rushing into his fourth. I mean, he needs to. Because of how delayed his third was, you could argue that even this fourth could have been taken earlier as well. As Astrea has been able to build up this Phoenix count for the most part. And it's keeping Ryung contained. Behind this, we've got Stim +1. Sorry, Stim 1-1, combat shields, all finishing up for our Terran. Ryung could hit the timing here with all these upgrades. There we go. He's going for the Unsiege. He's moving out across the map. What does Astrea have to defend? Interesting. Instead of going for... Okay, I was about to say, instead of going for a Disruptor, he went for a fourth Colossus, but he cancels the Colossus. Starts Disruptor production. The Phoenixes do scout the move out. The Observer as well. Astrea is getting in position. Go. We have a shield batteries on the way. Overcharge as well. Ryung is quick to siege. He's able to get a volley off. The Disruptor coming in from behind as well. The missed rally? Question mark? Disruptor goes down. Phoenixes are finding some damage. They're catching a couple of reinforcements. Losing that Disruptor does hurt. Ugh. So a rough miss rally there from Astrea. Zealots are coming in from behind. A charge is done, but the Zealots are spotted. We have a second Disruptor waiting to dive in. Oh, not again. No! Disruptor goes down. The Zealots are collapsing on this army. Marines are spread out there. They're in a decent position, but the tanks are going down. Ryung, he's going to be losing this army, but he gets a kill on the 4th base. Was that worth it? Ryung, he still has 1 tank left. Yeah, he's holding on to this position. But he's still pushing into 3 Colossi. As the Zealots catch another tank. You can see Ryung trying to get in position here, but he's fighting within range of the overcharge as well. And Ryung, he loses a bit too much. Another disruptor. Can we get a 3rd? We will get a 3rd disruptor. We haven't seen a single purification ever connect this game. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But what I will say is that, you know, despite losing all these disruptors, Astrea, he's able to hold on. You know, he retains all 3 of his Colossi. He was able to shave off a big chunk of the army as well. And Astrea is double expanding. Again, he needs to. He is down in the economy right now. He needs a 4th desperately. So Ryung is working on his own 4th base. Ghosts are going to be coming in. We have them for EMPs. 2-2 is on the way. 2-2 does feel very delayed. It feels like we finished 1-1 just in time for the push, and 2-2 was... It took some time to get into that, unfortunately. So Ryung's upgrade timing won't be as powerful as it could have been. And Astrea is re-establishing these bases. It's going to be moving out, sharking from map control. Has a prism towards the left-hand side. Looking to dive into the natural or even the main. And this is still up in the air. I still wanna favor Ryung overall, but we'll see. As Astrea has a tri-pronged attack, he has Zealots to go into the natural. He has a prism diving in as well. The main army pushes towards a 4th, and it looks like Ryung doesn't have enough here to defend. The prism does go down, but Astrea's main army backs off. Despite there not being any tanks in position, I do think this planetary was a little bit vulnerable. He doesn't go for it. Gets 12 SCVs for only Zealots. So regardless, even though Astrea doesn't try to break the planetary, he still does a lot of economic damage. He got away with his 5th, and now he's got a 6th base on the way. Still another Zealot run by, threatening to go into the natural. The main army of Astrea getting even stronger. We're up to 3 robotics facilities, making 3 disruptors at a time. That's a lot of disruptors. That's a lot of balls. Let's go. Oof. Big EMPs on the army is going to force Astrea back once again. Zealot run by runs into a Marine army. Ryung having a good couple of moments here. Does have to be careful. That disruptor count is getting very high. And Ryung is aware that he's getting ready for a Liberator transition. We have a Fusion Core on the way. We have a couple more starports in production as well. Oof. As good snipes from Ryung, he takes down 2 disruptors. Are we going to see a single Nova connect this year? We have to, right? We're making 3 disruptors at a time. A Nova's going to connect at some point. It's going to happen. First Nova is going to zone away the army. We do find a tank. Oof. But Astrea takes a couple of tank shots to the face. Yeah, he's going to be punished here in the retreat as well, bleeding out some Stalkers. At the same time, we have a big army on the right-hand side pushing on forward. The shield batteries are not done. And we force a recall. Astrea will hold on to the 6th base, but he loses a Colossus. It's a really greedy recall. Really risky recall, I should say. As Zelts are getting into the mineral line as well, damage is being done. 5 SCVs go down. But is Astrea throwing away too much? I do worry. Oh, during the recall, it looks like his immortal got stuck. Does break it free. Astrea down to only 2 Colossi. So he takes down the last Viking, but Liberators are now on the way. Liberator range in production as well, thanks to that fusion core. And Liberators are really going to change the dynamic of this fight, of these armies. Ryung is going to have so much more pushing power with them, as he's going to be losing his planetary. Yeah, this base on the right-hand side is going to be denied. CC goes down. But Ryung may not care, as he's moving out towards the left instead. This is spotted by the Zolnaga tower. Astrea is aware. And he does need to rotate his army over. Oh, that's a kill, not a cancel on the on the Nexus. Like, I've been saying CCs a lot. Nexus does go down. Oh, here we go. The numbers go up. Quite finding any connections yet. As a Liberator got 7 probes. Liberators have arrived. This army is looking so exposed. The Colossus, no, get out of here. The Colossus are going to be going down. Stalkers are coming in from behind, but Ryung, he is taking this fight. Astrea losing far too much, far too quickly. The Disruptors, how many do we have? Oh my god, 13. We're up to 13 Disruptors. Don't walk through the freedom zones. Yeah, as we can see, Astrea is being cut off from his own bases. Next side going to be going down. Astrea can't really do much about it. He's going for a big counterattack instead. He has to. Back at home, there isn't much to defend, so he could maybe find some damage. As 12 probes go down. Planetary is exposed. The Disruptors do move on forward, but then we're going to find some connections. Let's go. We get a mineral line for every single Disruptor. Not quite the trade we were looking for, but at least we did find some connections. We got some value out of the Disruptors. As Ryung is bullying his way forward. Big EMPs on the Gateway army. Freedom has arrived. Astrea going to be coming in from behind, but the Liberation Zones, they do reposition. Hard pickup on the Bio army. Looks like the Liberators will go down. At the same time, more bases are falling. It's just becoming too much. Astrea forced to recall. As he recalls, Ryung backs off, and yeah, he's finding another Nexus. Now, I want to say that Astrea can still take a fight. Even though Astrea has been on the back foot for a big portion of this game, he has a lot of Disruptors. He has 7 Disruptors, and if he's able to find some good connections, he can sway an engagement and snowball from there. Here we go. Some good Novas are connecting. He's pushing up the ramp, but the Disruptors are exposed. Oh. As more Disruptors go down, you can see Astrea is gaining ground. He's getting up this ramp, getting on top of the planetary. But this army is so battered, so bruised. And it looks like this is going to be the last hurrah here for Astrea, as he's losing a bit too much. The planetary survives, and good target firing out of Ryung, as only a single Disruptor survives. Not even. Not even. GG gets called, and Ryung will take game number 1. GG. Oh. When was this played? This was played a couple of weeks ago. As Ryung does take the first game. I say a couple of weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Over in Korea. And yeah, that was a little bit uncharacteristic. We had a really odd opener out of Astrea, which is fine. It's Astrea. You know, we expect like some odd builds from time to time, going for the Robo into the Stargate, really out of the norm. But we saw a lot of, I want to say a little bit of miscontrol or misrallies from Astrea. A lot of disruptors were going down really early on, and they would have made the defense so much easier here for Astrea. I do think that if he was able to hold on to those first 2 disruptors, maybe he saves his 4th. Maybe he protects his 4th base, and from that point on, he's able to have a much more stable mid-game. An easier mid-game overall, and is able to have an easier time keeping up with Ryung. But things did snowball very quickly out of control, and Ryung found himself ahead early on after denying the Prism, after sniping bases, and he was able to, yeah, kind of leverage that into what we saw, into pretty powerful performance out of Ryung in game 1. But now we're getting into game number 2. Este fool. Calm down, Bobby. Calm down. Keep your Jamie to yourself. As we're getting into our next game. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gresvan, we have the South Korean Terran player leading the series 1-0, representing Onside Gaming. It is Ryung. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the American Protoss player representing Maturino Esports. It is Astrea. There's no holding Jamie back. Oh. He's arriving. He's coming. All these Terran players, you're all animals. As I imagine we're going to be getting a much more standard opener this time out of Astrea. I'm not expecting any kind of weird, quirky Robo into Stargate shenanigans. As likewise, Ryung is going for a Rax Expand. Like the previous game, going for an economic opener here on Gresvan. As Astrea is moving out for a scout. Now, as we do get into Gresvan, again, there are a lot of defensive features on this map. There's a lot of choke points because of the base layout as well. This can lead into longer games. We have even seen that here in TVPs. But between these 2 players, I don't know if that's really where we're going to be headed. I don't think that's where they want to take the game, if at all possible. We'll see. I know we had like a long macro game in the previous game, in game 1, but specifically I'm talking about, like, you know, Sky Toss, getting to a mass Sky Toss army, cutting the map in half. We have seen that here before, but I don't think that's where we're going to be headed. We'll see. We'll see. The potential is there. The potential is there. So Ryung is getting into his factory behind this, so it's not going to be a rack expand into a 3 racks, which is what we saw out of Cure earlier today. Oh, hello, Mr. Ryung. As he does hide an SCV here towards the south, it looks like he's going for a proxy starport. Factory is about to finish up, and this wouldn't be a bad position for a starport if you wanted to go for something like a Hellion drop or a proxy liberator. There is a potential for it. As back at home, Astrea is going for a Twilight Council opener. So again, much more standard. Going to be working towards Blink. First Adept is arriving. CC should finish up just in time. But the bunker, not so much. Oh. SCV is going to go down, but the bunker does finish, and Ryung does hold on to his natural. Likewise, the starport is proxied. And it's looking like a liberator. We have Hellions here across the map. Liberator is going to be threatening the natural. And then we can threaten the main. Oh, actually, no. It's going to be a Hellion drop. Okay. Fair enough. The Hellions were scouted, yes, but Astrea didn't get into the main base. So he is unaware that the starport... Oh, hello. The starport is being proxied. Okay. I was like, Ryung, do we have something else in store for this SCV? Okay, it's coming back home. Medevac is on the way. We're going for that drop. Astrea is aware of the potential of this, so he's going to be checking and scouting with his Adept. Oh, but the Adept does move out of position, and the drop is coming in. Do we have anything in position? We have 2 Stalkers. It looks like Astrea is going for an economic opener, going for Twilight Council into 2 gateways into a 3rd base. The drop comes in. And Astrea should be able to react, but not before losing some probes. Oh. 3 probes do go down. We're diving into the mineral line. We're diving on top of the workers, and we roast up 7 more. Oh my god. 9 probes in total, and the medevac will barely escape. That's a lot of damage done already. Not the best start here for Astrea. As back at home, Ryung is going for actually a really fast 3rd base. Oh. Interesting. Okay, this is really weird. So Astrea, he only has 2 gates. We should see a 3rd, but he delays his 3rd base in favor of going for a prism and warping in across the map. Astrea, he's going for his own counter damage. And because Ryung is going for a fast 3rd, he doesn't really have a lot here to work with. I mean, he has a decent army here towards the south at the natural, but Astrea, he slips into the main. 3rd base now on the way for Astrea, but it was delayed. And we're getting a couple of SCVs. 4, 5, 6 SCVs go down. 7 SCVs even. Oh my god. A 9? We do an equivalent amount of damage across the map. And we delay the 3rd. We delay the production. Okay. Astrea, he's got some moves. He is keeping up. On top of that, it looks like the medevac was sniped out of the skies. Was taken out by these Stalkers, and Astrea's coming back in. Oof, it does take a tank shot to the face, unfortunately, but he's going to get a couple more SCVs. 2 more SCVs go down. And behind this, Astrea is getting his 3rd up and running. Double Forge, Robotics Bay. Again, very greedy moves here out of Astrea. Delaying his gateways for so long. He's still only working off of 2 gates. Still working off of very few units. 1-1 is now in production. And yeah, from here, Astrea, he's kind of getting away with murder. Like, because of his aggression as well, he's keeping Ryung at bay. Because I'm pretty sure the reason why Astrea threw down all of this tech is because he scattered the 3rd CC. Again, a very early 3rd for Ryung. So because Astrea knows that Ryung's upgrades are late, because he knows that Ryung is working on a better economy, he's free to cut corners and be as greedy as he wants. And now he's going into his gateway explosion. Far later than we usually expect. So Astrea taking full advantage of Ryung right now. And even able to punish him a little bit as well, despite the damage that Ryung dealt. So really good moves here out of Astrea. Really smart moves, I should say. As Ryung did hear the Observer, does snipe it. Prism still active here for Astrea. Looking to threaten the main. Colossus production has commenced. We already have 1 Colossus out on the map. Again, Astrea, he's just posturing, just looking to clean up any scouting marines that Ryung has. Getting his 4th on the way. Astrea does spot the drop. He's going to rotate over to meet it. And likewise, Astrea is getting ready for his own drop into the main. Has to be careful. There are Marines in position. Ryung is ready for it. Poking on in, the prism is going to be deflected. Thankfully, Astrea doesn't commit. He keeps the prism alive, and he doesn't even sustain any hull damage either. And again, he's just happy to chill, back off, get his fourth up and running. We've got 2-2 on the way. Momentarily, we should be throwing down additional robos for double disruptor production. We saw that the disruptors, they didn't really do well for Astrea in game 1, but I'm sure we can make up for it here in game 2. There it is. There's that second robo. Meanwhile, Ryung has been stuck at home. Again, because he went for a faster third base, it did mean that all of his upgrades and all of his production was delayed, so Ryung has just been stuck at home here, building up his forces. He's got a good mine count, ghosts, marauders. It does feel like Astrea has been able to outgreed him though, as he goes for the third robo as well. Show me all the disruptors. Let's go. Astrea even working on his fifth. And he's somehow able to bypass that turret and the Marines, gets into the main base, gets a massive warp into the main as well. The prism is going to go down, but we get 10 SCVs. At the same time, we can see Astrea threatening a push, but he does see the minefield, doesn't want anything to do with it. As 13 SCVs go down, Astrea, he's up 2 bases. Still has to refine his army with those disruptors, but they're now on the way. And as Ryung takes his 4th base, he's going to be exposing himself a little bit more. Pushing up this ramp is always a difficult thing to do. But pushing in between these bases is going to be a little bit easier here for Astrea. It's going to rotate over. Does get eyes on the base itself. Oh, the tanks are in position. Astrea not quite expecting that. It's going to back off. Zelt's going to be rotating around for a run by, but the sensor tower is in position. Ryung also has an army here ready and waiting. The Zelts don't find a way in, but the tanks are exposed. Ryung not quite where he needs to be. Tanks go down. Big Nova, big connection on those Marauders. Colossus does go down. At the same time, the Zelt run-by is diving in. This time, once again, Ryung being pulled apart. Not in position. See Astrea busting into the natural base, the main army pushing forward. Now that 4th is exposed as well. As Astrea even attempts to go into the main. Again, it does feel like coming into the mid-game, Astrea just had so much more control, so much more freedom. Oh, the Nova! The Purification Novas go up, they connect on the army, the Planetary goes down, and Ryung just doesn't have enough. He takes down the Colossi. The Vikings, they put in a lot of work. Ryung is holding on, but he lost 14 SCVs. And behind this, Astrea, he's getting another base. A 6th. He has double the base count of Ryung. He has all the production he needs. As long as the Novas are on point, Astrea, he shouldn't be in too much danger. Behind this, we're getting back into Colossus production. How many disrupt? 9 disrupt. Just like the previous game. I don't know how I feel about this. But I don't know if you've noticed, Astrea, he just has non-stop robo production because he has 3, to be fair, he has 3 robos. It does mean that his gateway army is typically lacking. Like, and these armies, they look so fragile as a result. It's like glass cannons. Like, there's a lot of DPS, there's a lot of damage potential here, but one wrong move. One wrong move is all it takes. But the Novas, they cover themselves. The 4th base is denied once again by the Zealot run by. You can see Astrea getting ready for the sandwich. Oh, the Disruptors, no! Ooh. Big Novas are going to connect. Ryung overextending is going to lose everything. GG gets called, and Astrea ties up the series 1-1. GG. We saw at the end there, Ryung, he dove on the army and he focused down every Disruptor bar 2. But even then, he took some Novas to the face, and at that point anyway, Ryung, he was at death's door. GG. We have an ace match. We have a game 3. And game 3 is going to be taking place on Royal Blood. I missed the whole Cure vs. Solar series. Oh, don't watch it. Game 2 was brutal, mate. Game 2, it was. It's not safe for Zerg. If you're a Terran though, you'll really like it. You'll really like it. Asher, he said earlier that he's gonna watch Game 2 again in his own free time, by himself. He's an animal. But here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the American Protoss player representing Match Arena Esports, tying up the series 1-1 in that last game. It is Astrea. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran representing Onside Gaming. It is Ryung. Here we go. But yeah, we don't have predictions in the chat. This is a replay cast, so these events already took place, so no predictions. No predictions. As we are getting into this. Once again, every game so far in this series, Ryung has gone for a Rex expand. Economic stuff. Astrea, he's one who's been mixing things up more often. Even in that last game, even though we had a Twilight Council opener, even though we had, you know, a 2-gate Blink opener, which is typically very economic, Astrea, he made the choice, he made the decision to delay his 3rd in favor of being very aggressive across the map. And it paid off. It did pay off. It's caught Ryung very, very unawares. His pants were down. As Astrea was just being a little bit annoying here at the natural base, delaying that CC. Being a thorn in Ryung's side. As once again, no 3 racks. We've been seeing it from Kira, but Ryung, it looks like he's not really fond of that build or that follow-up. I don't blame him. I feel like 3 racks, they can be really risky. They do put a lot of pressure on the Terran to get damage done. As 2 games in a row, Astrea is going for a Twilight Council opener. What if there's a time and space continuum anomaly and the result has changed? Oh, true. I didn't think of that, SC2 fool. You're an animal. What if we're living in a world where the sausage wasn't banned? As he does get across the map, and this time he gets here just in time to delay the CC. Oh, for a couple of seconds. The CC will complete though. Ryung won't be delayed for too much longer as he gets into his 1-on-1 follow-up. Oh, even the SCVs were barely saved as well. Very nicely done there by Ryung. But behind this, everything is looking pretty normal. Wouldn't be surprised if we see an add-on swap. We head towards... we head towards something like a Raven opener. We could also go for... Actually, yeah, we're going for a tank first. Do we have a medevac on the way? Are we going for a tank drop? This is very Maru-esque coming out from Ryung. As the Adept and... Sorry, the Reaper and Hellion do get across the map. They force a recall. And yeah, there it is. There's that medevac. I mean, Ryung is teammates with Maru, so it makes sense. So, very aggressive stuff here out of Ryung. Looking at his vision, did he scout the opener? He didn't. He's not quite aware of what he's up against. But the goal here with this tank is you can get across the map, you can get high ground vision, and you can take down the cyber core. These buildings are exposed. It is a 2-gate opener into a third base, so Astrea is being very economic, and Ryung, he's headed towards the third. He's actually not too concerned at all with that tech. He's headed towards the third base, and because of the opener, Astrea doesn't have a lot of units to work with. Pylon's going to go down. Shield battery will not finish. And this is going to be a pretty big cancel on the third base. It's a hard decision to make. Astrea, he wants to fight for it. He's going for it. There's just too much progression on this base. So far, big tank shots off on those Stalkers. Yeah, and the base is going to go down. Oof. We blink on forward and we're going to be able to barely take down that tank. But Ryung, he trades so well. Oh, the grenade! The grenade and the reinforcements. The base goes down, and that's a lot of damage done already. 400 minerals down the drain. Not just that, but Astrea, he also took a really rough fight just to hold on to it as well. He lost 4 Stalkers, a sentry, and it wasn't worth it because he didn't save the base. So a very powerful start here for Ryung. Astrea is forced to expand here over on the left-hand side instead. He's working towards charge, working towards a robotics bay. But Astrea is behind from here. Behind this, Ryung isn't going for a 2-base all-in. We have a 3rd CC almost done. So he's just looking to capitalize on this position and just get ahead economically. Now, Astrea does have Blink, and with his Observer, Astrea, he can try to gain high ground vision, maybe going to the main. He's going to at least slow down the push, slow down the third. But Ryung is pushing. And we don't have that much at home to defend, not gonna lie. Viking comes in and takes down a couple of probes here in the natural base, and Ryung, he's in position. Astrea across the map with his army isn't here to protect his new third base. Astrea being caught with his pants down. To be fair, even if the Stalkers were back at home, that doesn't mean that he would have been able to hold on to this position anyway. Colossus shows up, but the base goes down once again. Big tank shots go off, and Astrea once again just stuck perpetually on 2 bases. He's trying to get a third up and running. And we were talking about this position earlier. Ryung, with this bunker finishing, he can actually take down the cyber core as well. I assumed that this was going to happen in the beginning of the game, but we're here anyway. SCVs, a couple of SCVs are going down, but Ryung has plenty of reinforcements back at home. Cyber core will go down, and no more Stalkers can be warped in. Again, it does feel like Ryung just had too much momentum at the start of this game. Astrea, to bounce back, he is... Oh, he goes for the recall. Astrea is double expanding. He's taking his 3rd and his 4th at the same time. And he needs to. He needs to get something going his way. Cyber core is being rebuilt. Gateway explosion finally upon us. Astrea does have 2 Colossi. About to be 3 Colossus, but... pushing into 3 tanks, 4 tanks even. 5 tanks. It's going to be a tough ask. Now, there is a world where maybe he can chip away at this army and maybe even catch this army on siege. Colossi, they're putting in a lot of work. Taking a couple of hits. They're slowing down the sieges. But Ryung is getting in position. Once again, looking to deny the 3rd base. Does force a cancel in the 4th as well. And once again, Astrea, he has to give up on the 3rd. He just can't fight this. He can't push into all these tanks. Double expanding once again. Going for a big zealot run by across the map, but we have reinforcements. If Ryung was rallying across the map, then maybe this could get damage done. As Ryung is just starving Astrea out. It's something you don't see too often, but again, just because Ryung got so much momentum early on, he's just keeping Astrea contained to 2 bases the entire game. There we go, the reinforcements have arrived. We're diving on top of the Colossi, there just isn't enough to protect them. There's no anti-air. And Astrea is losing his army. GG gets called. Ryung takes the series 2-1, eliminating Astrea. GG. Ay. Really impressive stuff out of Ryung. My condolences to Astrea. It was really cool to see him be a part of GSL, make it through the qualifiers, and be a part of the Korean scene and the Global StarCraft League. But GSL, it's a difficult thing to work through, you know. Even a couple of seasons ago, even when Rainer went to Korea, even he couldn't make it out of the group stage of GSL either. So a couple of rough games here for Astrea. Did have a good, I would say that he had a really good showing, specifically in Game 2 versus Cure. I think that was maybe the highlight of Astrea in this group. He had a really good Game 2. And even here, Game 2 against Ryung, he had a lot more momentum. He had a lot more control as well. Really smart play out of Astrea. But in the end, he is going to bow out here in the round of 16. GG, GG. Oh, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of him. You know, even though Astrea, he may have ended his run here in GSL, he of course is still living in Korea. He's living there in Korea. He's practicing his training. He's improving quite a lot. And we're going to be seeing more of him in the next couple of months. As a reminder, in October, not too long from now, ESL Masters Winter. ESL Masters Winter is going to be upon us, and that's when the regionals come in. That's when the LAN event in Atlanta is going to be happening as well. So definitely stuff to look forward to. And Astrea has that time to, again, look to improve, look to really be in form and peak in form coming into that major event. So look forward to it. Otherwise, GG. GG, well played, Ryung, advances on. And that means we have a rematch. Oh boy, should I be excited or scared? As we are getting ready here for a bit of a rematch. We casted them earlier in the day. It is going to be Ryung versus Solar. Oh boy.